Barstool Big Cat, which is usually every Wednesday at 4 o'clock.
We had some business to take.
Yeah, we had business yesterday, and we were joking around, goofing around when we thought we were off mic, but we were on mic. So I got a text from you. Were you really mad about that?
Well, I wasn't really mad, but you can't say it was a joke when it's a hot mic. A hot mic is different than, like if you say it to my face, I can deal with it. You basically were talking behind my back.
I know. No, I would. That is something I'd happily say to your face.
I was going to say you should hear some of the things we say
but
behind your back.
You can't be like, oh, it's a joke, hot mic. You guys weren't trying to be on air, were you not?
No,
we were playing fake. Not thinking we were on air, but we knew we were on where. Yes, it was a bit. It was a bit.
It's just a bit.
Yes.
It's just a bit.
Yes.
Okay. Let's hope I don't say anything on a hot mic.
So
about either of you.
What Big Cat was talking about, again, we were at Hallis, and then I guess on YouTube and on Twitch, we were up. We were not backstage, as they say. And we were talking, and we were joking. I was joking that what if Ben Johnson wasn't really a Cubs fan, just like Big Cat.
Yeah.
It's a good joke. I think it's a good joke.
No, it is a good joke, but the problem I have with it is you got to just own that you were on a hot mic and you were talking on a hot mic. Like you can't be like, oh, just a bit. Just be like, yeah, I'm kind of a.
Oh no, I was talking on a hot mic.
I'm kind of a douche, and I was talking on a hot mic.
I was talking on a hot mic.
Yeah,
about you
about our friend. On a hot mic.
That's what we do. We bust
just
balls.
Own it. I know. You're right. To our face on a hot mic is different. Just own it. Just be like, yeah, I got caught on a hot mic. That's all you got to say.
Love you.
You got thick skin. I mean, you can handle that.
I do, but I know you do. Face. That's my point.
You know what I was doing at the time?
Own the hot mic. Own the hot mic part of it.
I was Googling.
Like, I didn't know the mic was on.
No, I was Googling Patriot stuff is what I was doing. That's what I was doing.
All you got to do is just say, yeah, I was on a hot mic. I shouldn't. I didn't think I was on air.
Your go on the air called you the Boston Strangler this week.
That's funny. I like that. That's on the air. That's on the air.
Hey,
that's funny. He would make the jokes to my face. Listen, not hot mic stuff.
Okay, where this is a hot mic. We had an opportunity to talk to Kevin Warren yesterday, and the stadium.
I owe him an apology. Yes, I owe a lot of apologies.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go into Here,
yeah,
go ahead.
The stage is
yours.
All
right. I owe Ryan Poles an apology. I didn't think that he was going to be able to pull this off. I was wrong. In Poles we trust. I'm back on board with that. Obviously, a big draft coming up, but in Poles we trust. And I owe Kevin Warren an apology because I do believe I've had my issues with Kevin Warren. I do believe that he probably had a large part in getting George McCaskey to open up the checkbook. To a point where he was probably a little uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And Waddle, we had this conversation a month ago where we're saying, hey, listen, if they get Ben Johnson, that's going to show that they went outside of their comfort zone. Yep. And that's kind of all we're asking for as fans. So I owe Kevin Warren an apology. I owe Ryan Poles an apology. I'm very happy with what they've done. That was to have the Bears be able to get the guy that everyone wanted and have it feel like it wasn't just money. I know money's important, but it wasn't just we're going to throw the most amount of money at you so you can't say no. But it also was, in listening to Ben Johnson's press conference yesterday, it was because of Caleb Williams, and he thinks he's special. And it's a guy who has been the hot name for 2 cycles now, and everyone was lusting after him, and he was being very selective. It's a great feeling, and Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah, I mean, This doesn't feel like a transaction. He wanted us. Yes, the money's there, but it's not like we were purchasing his love. His love existed. Money was just a separate item.
Exactly. So it's really cool. And I loved his press conference because it feels like he was brutally honest with, hey, there's work to be done and there's a plan here. And I have an idea in my head and it's not cliches and it's not like, we're going to win the North and take it back. I did like the shot at Matt LaFleur, but I wanted... I felt confidence, and I'm staying 6 out of 10 excited because, Waddle, I know we made this deal with each other that we're not going to get over our skis until there's actually wins on the football field. But in terms of, and I don't want to do the whole Bears won the offseason thing because we did that last season, and I look like an absolute moron for everything I said. But I'm very excited about this hire, and I'm very happy that the Bears, as an organization, were able to get this one right. anything can happen. But in terms of what they wanted to do, what they wanted to accomplish, a guy that everyone wanted, they were able to get him.
That's what kind of how I feel. Like the same thing about the 6 out of 10. And like you can't win with anybody either, because like if you are excited, like you can't go and say, hey, I don't want the Bears to fail in the coaching hire. I want them to hire Ben Johnson. And when they do, you have to be excited. Like there's no other way to put it. But just because they do get Ben Johnson doesn't mean they're winning 10 games either. And you could also say that, hey, there's lots of other work to do, and I won't allow myself to go from point A to point Z.
Exactly. I don't want to win the offseason anymore.
Yes.
I'm very excited. This is the guy I wanted. I have been saying it for months that this is the guy I wanted. This was the guy that I think everyone wanted in the fan base. But this is not. We're not winning an offseason. There's work to be done. Got a lot of holes to fill. But it just. And again, who knows? Because we did this with. Trustman was a wizard, and Nagy was a perfect hire at the time, and so. You just don't want to fall for that trap. He's still got to show it, but I'm day 2 or whatever we're on. I'm pumped. I'm pumped up.
By the way, Ben Johnson was named the Assistant Coach of the Year by the Pro Football Writers of America earlier today.
I saw that.
Does that make you...
Also, you know what? It's kind of nice to have Lions fans freaking out, because it's like they've never had a coordinator get hired away, and to have it be to the Bears, they thought it was never. I have receipts of Lions fans telling me Ben Johnson would never come to the Bears. And I think that hurts them a little, knowing hey, this guy who has been the cream of the crop in terms of offensive football sees something in Caleb Williams. That's awesome.
Yeah, and on that topic, I think it was good to hear that there was some self-awareness, and Ryan Poles admitted it, that, look, he made some mistakes, and he's going to sit down with Ben Johnson, and they're going to together look at this roster and decide what they need to do, what guys to keep, what guys to move on from, what guys to draft, what guys to sign in free agency. I felt like the tone coming from Ryan Poles was at least one that acknowledged that, hey, the last 3 years he hasn't gotten it right as much as he needed to.
Yeah, exactly. And then you look at a Jaguars. I mean, that's a mess. That's what we thought we were heading towards. The fact that the Jaguars had an interview with Ben Johnson, had an interview with Liam Cohn. Both guys said no. And then they retroactively fire their GM, who was probably the one who was keeping these guys from taking the job. That's an absolute dumpster fire in the organization right now. And it feels good, because it did feel – there were moments where I think you guys had these same doubts at points, where it's are we headed for this? Oh, yeah. Are we headed for the missing out on a guy because the timeline is all screwed up? Ben Johnson believes in Ryan Poles. That's awesome. They're going to work together, and it feels good. It feels good. It was a bad season, but it feels good to turn the page and go somewhere else.
I think you're right. I think if you would have said, hey, there's going to be one team who hires a defensive coordinator, there's going to be another team that can't hire anybody, and then midway through it, they fire their general manager. And then there's another team 2 days into the search, fires their general manager as well, and they haven't hired anybody yet. I would say we would have guessed that those last 2 teams were the Bears, not the team that hired Ben Johnson.
Right, and if you had thrown in the fact that we would be competing against the Cowboys, which is always, I know they're not the Cowboys of the 90s, but they're still the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones will still spend a lot of money, and they have Dak Prescott, I would have been we're screwed. And so for this all to work out, and I don't know, I don't know if it's fan fiction or the reporting is factual that Ben Johnson essentially wanted this job last year, but he promised Dan Campbell another year, that also feels awesome, that he's been kind of eyeing this and being I want to go coach there.
Did you hear from Ryan Poles?
I may have heard from Ryan Poles.
Because you doubted that he could land.
I
think
did.
That he threw that in your face before he landed Ben Johnson about. So what did he say?
I'm not going to just say private conversations. He basically was I want to say, we'll paraphrase, shove it, you were wrong, shove it, but in a friendly tone.
So you guys are back on good terms?
Tell me. I don't know if we're on good terms, but he at least responded to my text. But he should take a victory lap. He deserves a victory lap for this. This is
and by the way,
something that we didn't think was possible.
Whether you're on good terms or not, you got the coach you wanted. So
Right.
if that
And he
means,
did
and would you sacrifice? I know you have the pinky thing, but would you sacrifice your relationship with the Bears general manager if you got the coach you wanted? I would say yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like he proved the doubters wrong, and I was in the doubters camp. So I have to be honest and be like, hey, I was wrong, and my apology to Kevin Warren as well. Kevin Warren has to have been an integral part of this. I'm convinced of that.
It's the Warren effect.
I did not think that was possible. I thought it was going to be same old Bears, and it was going to be who's actually in charge here and who's calling the shots, and obviously. The story comes out, what was it, a week ago, which is something we all knew for years, the Trace Armstrong being the shadow general manager. So, like, it felt like we were going to go down that path again, and they completely corrected that, and they made the hire that we all were hoping for, and they swung for the fences. Again,
Yeah.
Ben Johnson could end up not being a great coach, and that would be unfortunate for a lot of reasons, but they took the shot that we've been asking them to take, and they got the guy that everyone else wanted.
Amen to that. Now, where do you want the stadium?
He doesn't really care.
I still want Arlington Heights because I want to do the racetrack around the stadium.
Right, but you don't really go to the games, do you?
No, I don't get to go to games because I have to stream them.
But I I don't go to games either because I just choose not to go to them because I'm scared of crowds. So
I would like Chicago to get a Final Four. I would like us to get a Super Bowl. Like, so in that respect, it would be cool to be in Arlington Heights. And I'd like it to be a state of art. Like, I just don't want to keep doing Band-Aids or whatever it is and running into the same problem. So I've kind of been Team Arlington Heights for a while now, and I think that would make the most sense if you're trying to move this franchise into the 21st century or whatever century we are in. It feels like that would be the move, no?
Yeah, I don't care where you put it, to be honest. And again, maybe my opinion should be way down the list because I don't go to many games. If you did create this paradise that I have dreams of, I'd be more inclined to go there. I would also be more inclined to go to the area if there was an entertainment district, if there was restaurants and there was a casino and all that stuff. Big Cat, I don't really care where it is. I just want it to be in a spot that can house all of that stuff. And I don't have to go south to go west to go north to go east to go north to go south to get my ass home. That's what I don't want.
But the event, like what you're saying, is that like the Big Ten championship game in football should be here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of events that Chicago should host that it feels like it might be tricky if it's Soldier Field and it's still a smaller stadium because the footprint's smaller and the parking's everything. So that's why I've been Team Arlington Heights. The more things that we get in the city would be great.
Yeah. As we move to the NFL playoffs, where do you guys feel, and specifically you, but I'm sure you've talked about this and pardon my take, like on the legacy game stuff, do you think this is overhyped regarding Josh Allen against Mahomes, that this is a legacy? Is it too early in his career? And like last week, Lamar against Josh Allen. This is a legacy game. Legacy game, guys. This is forever going to impact their careers. Do you believe this is a legacy game?
I don't think it's a legacy game. Well, I separate Lamar and Josh because Josh Allen in the playoffs has played near perfect football. His losses are different than Lamar's in the fact that like the 13-second game, you can't really play better football than he played in that game. The Chiefs got down the field in 13 seconds and got a field goal. Like that, if you watch that game back, you're not saying to yourself, oh my God, Josh Allen just like completely, wetted himself and choked in the big moment. Even last year when they lost to the Chiefs. Do you remember how many balls Stephon Diggs ended up dropping in like these big moments where Josh Allen was putting a perfect placed ball and Stephon Diggs in that one big play was elusive to them? So Lamar is different in that Lamar has been so good in the regular season. He's about to win his third MVP. And I don't think Lamar's playoff performances make him a bad quarterback, but you have to be honest and say the Lamar that plays in the regular season is not the Lamar that's been playing in the playoffs. That's just a fact. You know what I mean? Like he had how many? I don't think he had a 2-turnover game
not.
all year in the regular season.
Last one he had was last playoffs. Last season's playoffs.
Like, and you can't just be like, oh no, it's Lamar. Like, you know, his defense failed him, or it's not
Mark
his fault.
Andrews,
No,
right?
Yeah, Lamar. I mean, Mark Andrews. Obviously, the fumble was an enormous part of the game. I know the 2-point conversion as well, but the fumble felt like that was the bigger swing of the game. But Lamar has not been up to his standard has been so high because he's played so well in the regular season that even though it's not like he played an awful game. He just made a couple plays that he didn't make in the regular season, and those are the winning plays. Like, the Bills barely beat the Ravens, and they had a +3 turnover margin, and 2 of them were Lamar. So I think Lamar and Josh are different in terms of legacy. I don't know. I mean, I hope the Bills win. I think Josh Allen has to be Superman again. That game was weird against
Well, they
the Ravens.
let him be Superman, Big Cat, because
I think they're going to have to.
Let him throw the ball a little bit more, don't you think?
I think they're going to have to, because my whole take on this game is you cannot, knowing you're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, you cannot leave this game up to, I hope we have the ball last.
Yes.
You've done that. That's happened. That's happened multiple times in the playoffs, and you're 0 for 3 in the playoffs. The way the Bills win this game is they let Josh Allen be Superman, let him chuck the ball, and you try to stomp out the Chiefs right away.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't let it be, because if it's a one-score game with 4 minutes left and the Chiefs end up having the ball, it's over. Like, we've seen that. We know what Patrick Mahomes does. So I'm hoping that they just go guns blazing and they're like, hey, we got one of the best quarterbacks, if not best quarterback in the league right now. Like, we got to just go out with him. We got to let him just be himself and make these wow plays and hopefully get, a 2-possession lead going into the fourth quarter.
Are you part of the crowd that believes the officials are in the bag for the Chiefs?
I do not. We actually just had Mitch Schwartz, who blocked for Patrick Mahomes in his first Super Bowl, is on tomorrow's Part of My Take, and he made a really good point that the Chiefs have been on TV, national television, far more than any other team in the last 7 years. So their games are always the ones that people remember, and the moments like that. One of those calls is really bad. The one where the Texans hit each other and Mahomes slid late. But I've always had the take of, like, what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs do is, there's always bad calls in an NFL game. The officiators, the referees don't get paid full-time. It's so stupid. It's $1 billion industry, and they're not paying them full-time. That's a whole other issue. The thing that's the difference with the Chiefs is the Chiefs are so good at any time you give them a little bit of breathing room or an inch, they will capitalize on it. If you make one mistake, the Chiefs will pounce on it. That's what a championship team does. So the calls always feel more magnified because if you give them a free first down, they'll go score in 7 points. You know what I mean? So I think it's more – I think it takes – when people blame the officials for the Chiefs, it's taking away a lot of credit from a really, really good football team that has that championship, like, whatever it is, the DNA, that they will always be able to make the big play in the big moment. I mean, that Travis Kelce touchdown, when Mahomes is, like, falling down, like, there's
Classic.
not many guys that can make that, and he always makes it. He always makes that play.
Hey, how about the earlier game? Are you able to watch what Jaden Daniels is doing and appreciate it, or do you have selfish quarterback envy because he was drafted a pick after our guy?
I had selfish quarterback envy for the majority of the season, and then it was the Falcons game in Week 17 that I just was like, you know what? Life's too short. I got to let go because Jaden Daniels is so much fun to watch. Like, he's fun to watch. I don't know what else to say. Like, he's an electric quarterback, and you can't. What's done is done, and it's kind of like with Mahomes and Mitch. Like, I'm sure we all reached a point where it's like, all right, what are we going to do? Are we going to sit here and pounce every single time?
Don't you feel better, though, than that? Like, I felt like there was, Mitch. Like, I know you liked Mitch more than us, 10 God and everything. Like, there's still a chance, a good chance, I think, that Caleb's going to be a very, very good quarterback. Like,
of course.
And again, if Jaden could be better, but we have still a lot of hope. That was going to be lopsided forever.
Yeah, that was to be lopsided forever, but there was definitely a point where you stopped thinking about it every single time you watched a Mahomes game. You know what I mean? Like, you had to let go, and you had to be like, I can't do this to myself. I'll drive myself crazy. People are trying to do it with Jalen Carter now, which is the most schizophrenic thing I've ever heard when people are complaining about our offensive line and then saying, why didn't we draft Jalen Carter? It's like,
well,
you got Darnell Wright and Dexter. Like, what do you – like –
well, you are like a lot of the Twitter people out there. It's not like that 10 spot was the only time you could have drafted a right tackle. You could have found a right tackle with all the other picks anywhere else.
But Jalen Carter, coming out of the draft, had character issues, did he not? He absolutely did. And you were going to draft him to a locker room that was in transition, a rebuilding
good thing the culture's good now.
Yeah, I know. Like
I'm just saying, though. But he
Let
went
me ask you a question now.
to the Eagles with Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham, guys who've been in the NFL for a decade plus.
Okay,
learned how to do it. Like I can't.
Better
you can't
environment.
kill yourself on every single decision like this.
No, okay, but can we ask you a question?
He's Aaron Donald, though.
Would you today trade Darnell Wright and Javon Dexter to the Eagles for Jalen Carter?
Well, it was actually a fourth. I mean, like Dexter was not a part of that deal.
I'm just saying now. Right now,
draft,
I'd send both of them to the Eagles for Jalen Carter.
The Eagles would say
so then we have no
of
offensive
course.
linemen? So then what are you going to say when Taylor's getting sacked 80 times next year? You're going to be like, where's our offensive lineman?
That's dumb because Poles could have drafted offensive linemen, but he chose to ignore it. He was the one who traded for Bates. He was the one who signed Nate Davis. He was the one who put patchwork centers.
Today. We're not going after Poles today.
Let me ask you this.
Back to the question. Jaden Daniels is a joy to watch, and I'm in a tricky spot because I know PFT is coming into studio tomorrow. He's pumped for that. So the situation is this. So it's been civil war on Pardon My Take all week because our producer Max is the Eagles fan. So they've been going at it. Like, seriously, we'll just be sitting and eating lunch. Yesterday we were sitting eating lunch, and they were just like, all of a sudden one person says one thing, and it's just a fight breaks out. It's awesome. It's so much fun to watch. So the thing is, if the Eagles win this game, Max will go to the Super Bowl, but we'll be able to fly back to Chicago on Friday because we go to Super Bowl for the whole week. So I'll go Sunday to Friday. If the Commanders win, I have to stay in New Orleans for an extra 3 days. So I am most likely rooting for the Eagles because I want to be able to go home after being in New Orleans for 6 days. But if the Commanders win, I'm then going to be rooting for PFT and wanting him to win a Super Bowl once he gets there.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this question before we let you go. Someone tweeted us today, and I've been meaning to ask you this because we've gotten a few tweets on this. Long time ago, Barstool Big Cat said on your show that he was going to go after CHSN if there wasn't a deal by Christmas with Xfinity. Yes. Still no deal. Can you remind him today?
Yes, good reminder. I'm on it. It's crazy. I mean, it's because it is getting to basketball season. And it is. It's about to be basketball season. I'm watching college hoops every night. I had 14 bets last night. No big deal. Went 12-2. That's not a brag. That's a fact.
That's a
Did you
flex.
guys see that Did you see that Arkansas cover?
I did not know.
Oh my God! Maybe the greatest cover I've ever had in my life. I'll tell it to you right now. This is probably gonna be very boring. Sorry to everyone listening. Arkansas was tied with 1.4 seconds left. Arkansas was -2. They get fouled, going to the line, shooting 2. Makes the first one. They're up 1. There's 1.4 seconds left. Misses the second one. No one on the other team, I think it was Georgia, tries to rebound. Arkansas guy who shot the free throw, he's the only one on the line, gets the rebound, hits a buzzer beater layup. They win by 3.
Wow, that's amazing.
There was no reason for him to shoot. There was no reason for him to shoot. But yes, I will get on it because it's ridiculous that we don't that we still can't watch these games. And I mean, the Bulls need to just trade everyone. It's
ridiculous.
Bad.
Can I vent about something gambling too?
Go for it.
Last week, you're a Joe Buck fan, aren't you?
I am a Joe Buck fan.
And I'm a Joe Buck fan, big time. And you're an SVP fan, aren't you? Like a mega SVP fan?
He's a friend of mine,
Yes, SVP's the best. Why do they still goof around? I think SVP, he did talk in code. They still talk in code about, it was that 9 point, for which game was it where it was the 9-point line. And they were hinting again about some people.
The Chiefs game?
Oh, yeah. Why not just say it? Yeah, because the Chiefs took a safety and the line ended up at 9.5.
Yeah, and some people were that's going to impact some people. Al Michaels probably somewhere, and ESPN Bet is one of the title sponsors. They own their own sports book, and on ESPN's broadcast, they still can't say, hey, what that safety just did is it probably gave people a backdoor cover.
You are preaching to the choir, my friend, because it like, especially in games that are blowouts, but the spread or the total matter. Why do you think people are still watching? They're watching for that. You know what I mean? Like, just walk us through it. Tell us what's happening.
All the books
Tell us that a 3-pointer at the end matters. You know what I mean? Like, this is what the over/under is. This is why this 3 matters.
They're all partners with the NFL. I don't know why some of these broadcasters still have to talk in code. Like, that's going to mean something. Well, tell everyone. Tell them that's because the spread in a lot of books was 9.5, and that one just made a huge impact in Vegas.
I agree. I completely agree. There are reasons why people are watching these games. In legalized gambling, a lot of people are gambling on these games. Give it to the viewer.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's say it. That's why I'm watching a lot of these games. I'm watching Arkansas and Georgia while I'm laying in bed on my phone. Tell me.
That's great.